The moment the T.I. documentary came out, everything in the hip-hop world seemed to stop at once. It wasn't the kind of pause where people quietly wait and move on. It felt more like the whole industry froze because no one knew what would happen next. Social media exploded within minutes. Headlines started appearing everywhere. Fans were posting clips, reactions, and opinions without even thinking twice. It was loud, messy, and emotional all at the same time. But in the middle of all that noise, one thing felt strange. One name suddenly disappeared from the conversation. Rick Ross. Usually, when something big happens in hip-hop, especially something this serious, artists react almost instantly. They post something on Instagram, they tweet a short message, or they at least show up somewhere and speak a few words. That is normal. That is how the culture works now. But this time, Ross didn't do any of that. No interview, no post, no reaction video, nothing at all. Fans noticed it right away. At first, people thought maybe he was just busy or waiting for the right moment. But as hours turned into days, the silence started to feel uncomfortable. His social media pages were quiet. His name was not trending for new music or a new project. Instead, people were asking the same question again and again. Where did Rick Ross go? The timing made it even more confusing. The documentary about T.I. was not small news. It was huge. It touched sensitive topics. It pulled family members into the spotlight, and it made people question things they had believed for years. When something like that happens, artists usually want to protect their image or show their support. But Ross chose to stay completely quiet, and that decision made the situation even more intense. Then, when everyone was already wondering what was going on, 50 Cent finally spoke about it. And when he did, he didn't speak in a soft or careful way. He made it clear that he believed Ross did not disappear by accident. According to him, Ross knew exactly what he was doing. That one statement changed the entire mood around the situation. Suddenly, fans were not just confused anymore. They were curious, worried, and even a little shocked. Because if Ross really stepped back on purpose, then it meant the situation was bigger than people thought. It meant there were things happening behind the scenes that the public could not see. To understand why this moment felt so heavy, you have to remember how powerful timing is in hip-hop. One small move at the right time can change how millions of people see you. A single post can build your reputation, but one wrong reaction can damage it in seconds. Artists know this very well. That is why most of them think carefully before they speak. When the documentary dropped, the atmosphere felt tense right away. Fans were talking about loyalty, respect, and betrayal. Some people supported T.I., while others believed the accusations were too serious to ignore. It created a deep divide, and nobody wanted to be on the wrong side of it. Ross, who has always been seen as a confident and strong figure in the industry, suddenly became quiet during one of the most emotional moments the culture had seen in a long time. That silence felt louder than any diss track. Fans began creating their own theories. Some believed Ross was afraid of being dragged into the situation. Others said he was showing respect by not speaking too early. A few people even thought he was planning something bigger and was waiting for the perfect time to respond. Every new theory made the story grow larger, and instead of calming down, the drama only became stronger. What made the situation even more intense was the history between the people involved. The hip-hop world has seen conflicts before, but this felt different because it was not just about music. It involved personal lives, families, and reputations built over many years. That made every reaction feel emotional instead of entertaining. 50 Cent understood that very well. He has always known how to turn attention into power. While many artists focus only on music, he focuses on how people react. He knows that controlling the story can be more powerful than releasing a new song. So when he said he knew why Ross disappeared, it sounded less like gossip and more like a calculated statement. Fans started looking at everything again from a new angle. The timeline suddenly felt suspicious. The documentary appeared. The internet exploded. And right at the peak of the chaos, Ross went silent. It didn't look random anymore. It looked planned, or at least carefully considered. Some people felt disappointed because they expected Ross to stand strong and speak openly. Others understood why someone would choose to step back instead of walking straight into a storm. The truth is, Fame looks powerful from the outside, but it can be extremely stressful when millions of people are watching your every move. One wrong word can turn fans against you overnight. That is why this situation felt more emotional than usual celebrity drama. It was not only about who was right or wrong, it was about pressure. Imagine waking up and seeing your name trending for something you did not even directly say. Imagine people waiting for you to speak, while knowing that anything you say will be judged by millions of strangers. That kind of pressure can make even the strongest person step back for a moment. As the days passed, the silence continued to grow heavier. Social media users kept refreshing their feeds, hoping to see Ross post something. Every small sign felt important. If someone close to him liked a comment, fans talked about it. If a photo from an old interview appeared online, people tried to read hidden meaning in it. The internet turned his absence into a story of its own. This is what makes modern hip-hop different from the past. Years ago, artists could stay quiet for weeks without anyone noticing. Now, silence becomes a message. Not speaking is seen as a decision. Fans try to understand it the same way they analyze lyrics in a song. That is exactly what happened here. Meanwhile, 50 Cent continued to control the attention. He didn't need to say too much. Just a few words were enough to keep the conversation alive. People trusted that he knew something others didn't. Whether that was true or not didn't matter. The result was the same. The spotlight stayed exactly where he wanted it. For many fans, the situation started to feel personal. They had followed these artists for years. They had supported their music, shared their songs, and defended them in arguments online. Watching one of them suddenly disappear during such a serious moment felt almost like losing a connection. It created a strange mix of disappointment and concern. At the same time, some fans began to respect Ross even more. They believed he was avoiding unnecessary drama and choosing peace instead of attention. In a world where many people react quickly just to stay relevant, stepping back can also be seen as strength. It depends on how you look at it. The longer the silence lasted, the more emotional the story became. People were not just talking about music anymore. They were talking about loyalty, fear, pride, and survival. The situation turned into a reminder that celebrities are still human beings. They have families, emotions, and worries just like everyone else. The difference is that their problems happen in front of millions of people. When you think about it carefully, disappearing for a while can sometimes be the safest choice. Speaking too early can make things worse. Waiting allows you to see how the situation develops. It gives you time to understand what people are saying and how they feel. Maybe that is what Ross was doing. Maybe he was not running away, but simply protecting himself. Still, the emotional tension remained strong. Fans kept asking the same question, will he finally speak? Every day without a response made the moment feel heavier. Even people who were not big fans started paying attention because the mystery itself became interesting. At the same time, the documentary continued to influence the conversation. People were still discussing its content, still arguing online, and still trying to decide what they believed. In that chaotic environment, Ross's silence felt like a quiet room in the middle of a loud city. It stood out because everything else was so noisy. This situation also showed how powerful public opinion can be. One video, one post, or one rumor can change how people see an artist forever. That kind of power is both exciting and dangerous. It can make someone famous quickly, but it can also destroy their image just as fast. That is why artists must think carefully before reacting to controversial topics. As time passed, one thing became clear. This was not just another celebrity story that would disappear after a few days. It had become something bigger. It turned into a lesson about timing, perception, and emotional pressure in modern hip-hop. Fans were not only watching the drama, they were feeling it. Some people described the situation as heartbreaking because they never expected to see Ross step back like this. Others said it was simply smart because the situation was too messy for anyone to control. Both opinions were understandable. That is what made the story so powerful. It allowed people to see it from different angles. In the end, the question remained the same. Why did Rick Ross really disappear at that exact moment? Was it fear of being dragged into something bigger than himself? Was it respect for someone else involved? Or was it a strategic move to protect his reputation until the storm passed? Nobody outside the situation could answer that with complete certainty. What everyone could see, however, was the emotional impact. Fans felt confused. Some felt disappointed. Others felt protective and wanted him to stay away from the drama. That mixture of emotions made the story feel real instead of staged. It showed how deeply people connect with the artists they admire. This moment also revealed something important about fame. Being famous does not mean you are free from fear or pressure. In fact, it often means the opposite. Every decision becomes public. Every silence becomes a message. Every reaction becomes a headline. Living under that kind of attention is not easy, even for someone who appears confident all the time. As the story continued, one thing became obvious. The hip-hop world was watching closely, waiting for the next move. Would Ross finally break his silence? Would 50 Cent say something even stronger? Would the situation calm down, or would it grow even bigger? Nobody knew, and that uncertainty made the story even more powerful. In a way, the disappearance itself became more important than any words he could have said. It created mystery, emotion, and tension all at once. Fans kept refreshing their feeds, hoping to see something new, but the silence remained. And sometimes silence can speak louder than 1,000 posts. By the end of it all, the situation felt less like simple drama and more like a reminder of how complicated the music industry can be. Behind the fame, the money, and the success, there are real people trying to protect themselves from public judgment. One wrong moment can follow them forever. That is why every move matters. Whether Ross disappeared out of fear, respect, or strategy, the emotional impact was the same. Fans felt the tension, they felt the suspense, and they realized that the world of hip-hop is not only about music anymore. It is also about perception, timing, and how people react to pressure. The story is not completely over yet. Fans are still waiting to see what happens next. Maybe Ross will finally speak and explain everything. Maybe he will return quietly and let the music speak for him. Or maybe the silence will continue, leaving people to guess what really happened behind scenes. One thing is certain. The moment the documentary dropped, the entire industry changed for a while. It showed how quickly everything can shift and how silence can become the most powerful reaction of all. And for many fans, this situation will always remain one of the most emotional and mysterious moments they have ever witnessed in the hip-hop world.